Who here likes real food? Me too. Real food is one of the best things, I think, in the world. And what's going on here in America is we're getting less and less real food and more fake food. The future of farming is becoming more GMO centered, meaning genetically modified organisms. Well, what does that mean? So I got to do a year in Maui working on a farm, and I got to work on a GMO-free farm, a pesticide-free farm, and I also got to do a ton of research on this topic. So I want to tell you about 3 parts of, I want to give you 3 main ideas of what GMOs are in the future of farming here. So the first one is what are GMOs? The second one is the environmental impact of GMOs, and third is the how to mitigate or reduce the negative impacts that GMOs are having on our environment. So let's get into it. So GMOs, genetically modified organisms. According to the USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture, 55% of our farmland is being used with GMOs, is being farmed with GMOs. It's a lot. Basically, every other thing you eat is probably genetically modified in some way. And research is coming out that even suggests maybe more. The impact on land is both negative and positive. There are some good parts of it, and we'll talk about that. The FDA, to get back to what a GMO is, kind of glossed over that, is a plant, according to the FDA, the Federal Department of Food and Drug Administration. That's what FDA stands for. According to them, is a plant, an animal, or microorganism that has had its genetic material or DNA changed. So that can be good and that can be bad, like I said. So the good part of it, although it has a bad reputation, some of the good parts of it is that something like a soybean that's been genetically modified actually has no trans fat in it anymore. They removed this part of an oil that's in a soybean, so it's actually healthier. That's very interesting. There's good parts of it too. Looking at the land though, there's good effects and bad effects. There's not been a ton of research into this, so what I know is kind of what we're all speculating right now in terms of the research that's going on. So according to science.org, it says it's actually good for insects, meaning that GMOs the DNA can be altered so that there's pesticides actually put inside of the genetic coding of this of the crop, so that we don't have to use pesticides on it, which can kill insects and which can kill plants. So in a weird way, it's reducing pesticide use, but it's genetically modifying and changing the plant itself. So what can that mean is bad for the environment, because then these animals and these insects and these plants that are used to getting hit by pesticides and dying, and then the crop is growing, they're actually fighting against the pesticide that's been put inside the plant itself. So they're growing to become super weeds and super insects that are basically immune to the pesticide that's been put in them. Kind of a crazy thing. Going on here, boom, super weed. Look at that thing. It's as big as her. Crazy. This is in Iowa. And according to Canadian Biotechnology Action Network, there are 59 weed species that have now become immune to the pesticides that we built into plants, into the crops that we're farming. So they're stronger than our defensive mechanisms basically against them. So not great for the environment. They're going to be really big, and that's not normal. Basically, the weeds are out-evolving the humans. So we need to out-evolve them. So looking at insects as well, according to Aaron Gassman of the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science, the western corn rootworm can survive toxins that were made to kill it. This is a specific rootworm that is killing corn. So a lot of the corn that you guys eat also very genetically modified. And the genetically modified was meant to be good, and it's turning it bad. So how do we avoid buying into this industry? I'm going to tell you that it's not as bad as we like to make it seem, but we need to mitigate the amount of pesticides, the amount of GMOs that we're using on our crops. And so that leaves us, the consumer, how do we have an impact? How do we change things? Because we're not the ones with a lot of money that's going in and making these policies and using all of our farmland to grow GMO foods. So how do we as the consumer, how do we break the system? How do we make an impact? The biggest thing is keep it local. So what we can do is we can buy from farmers markets. I know it's a grainy picture, but it's people at a farmer's market buying whole foods from farmers there in their town. This does two things. One, a lot of the food that farmers sell, farmers that go to farmers markets, none of their food is really used with GMOs or pesticides. They'll tell you if they are. So you'll be really clear on what you're getting. But it also lowers the emissions, the fuel emissions that's on your food. Because this food's local, it's grown in your backyard, it's only driven from the farms right next door to your house. So it's a lot of food that we buy from the grocery store is driven from different parts of the country, different parts of the world. There's a lot of fuel emission that's on that. So we can mitigate fuel emission as well as GMO use and pesticide use by buying local, keeping it local. Buying organic as well is a great thing. Organic food is using less GMOs, less pesticides, although they still do use pesticides. They're using less. So buy organic as much as you can. And a big one is educate each other. Educate your friends, educate your people around you. Tell them, keep it local. I know it's expensive, and so a big point on that is try and buy into like the EBT card stuff. I know we're all like broke and stuff. So if you get an EBT card, you can actually go to farmers markets and they give you coins, and you actually get double on those coins, if that makes sense. If you get $15 to spend at a farmers market, it actually goes $30 there, which is really cool. They're helping us out as broke college students. So buy local, and it'll really help in terms of the environment. But also keep in mind your wallet, it's pretty important too. So buy local when you can. And so with the closing thought there is that whatever impact you do make, it is an impact. So don't think that by only once buying from a farmer's market a week or once a month or once a year, you're still making an impact. So with that being said, thank you very much.